How's it going, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and MCU, and this is going to be my explanation of the ending of Black Widow and explaining the post-credit scene as well. In this video, I'll be talking about what exactly happened at the end of Black Widow when Thunderbolt Ross and the rest of the US government was coming for Black Widow and her family, what happens to Taskmaster, the rest of the Widows, Yelena Belova, and including what exactly is going on in that post-credit scene, and how it most likely sets up a brand new team that is going to be coming to the MCU that you should be very excited for. I'll break it all down in this video, and if you're new and you want to stay up to date on all things relating to the MCU, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. So Black Widow takes place between the events of Captain America Civil War and the events of Avengers Infinity War. At the end of Captain America Civil War, since Natasha actually chose to help Bucky and Captain America, she was deemed an enemy of the state, along with the rest of Captain America's team. However, she was not one of the members that got captured at the end and put on the Raft. The Raft is a maximum security prison in the middle of the ocean that was controlled by Thunderbolt Ross. Ant-Man was locked away, Hawkeye was locked away, the Scarlet Witch was locked away, and Sam was as well. And in the Black Widow movie, we see what Natasha was up to this entire time after Civil War. In Black Widow, as you saw, we see that Natasha reunites with her so-called family back from when she used to work for the Russian government. Her sister, Yelena, her mother, Melina, and her father, Alexei Shostakov, aka the Red Guardian. Natasha was trained in the Red Room along with her sister Yelena, but Natasha thought that the Red Room was taken down years and years ago. However, this of course was not true, so she reunites with her sister, then her mother, then her father after they break him out of jail, and they go attack the Red Room to bring down Dreykov and release all of the Widows. We find out that the Widows are actually being controlled by some type of serum. Dreykov has figured out how to mind control the Widows. They are essentially his puppets that will do anything he tells them to do, and he can even kill them remotely. After a few fights with Taskmaster and a one-on-one with Dreykov, eventually the family takes down the Red Room, releasing all of the Widows from Dreykov's mind control. Here we also find out the secret identity of Taskmaster, as it turns out it was actually Dreykov's daughter, Antonia Dreykov. Natasha thought that she had killed Dreykov's daughter in an explosion. This is also referenced in the very first Avengers film when Loki is talking to Natasha. Natasha explains that she has red in her ledger and she needs to make it clean. But Loki then says, "Can you really wipe out that much red?" Then he says Dreykov's daughter, referring to Natasha killing her, and she was just a little girl. But of course we learned that she actually lived. Dreykov managed to save his daughter by putting a chip inside of her neck, and he could also control her as well, and she goes on to become Taskmaster. Now eventually Natasha and her family do take down the Red Room, and they manage to kill Dreykov once and for all. They release all of the Black Widows from being mind controlled, including Taskmaster, and they let them free. From here, Yelena, the Widows, Taskmaster or Antonia Dreykov, Red Guardian, and Melina would all escape while Black Widow would stay behind to help them. We know they escape, but we don't actually see what Natasha does. We see Thunderbolt Ross and the US government driving their convoys towards her, but we don't see them interact. However, judging by one of the first scenes of the actual film, it's very clear that Natasha is pretty much on another level than Thunderbolt Ross and his men and could probably easily escape, which we know she does, because then she goes on to join Captain America. The final scene is her meeting up once again with former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Rick Mason. He gives her a Quinjet and she goes on and rejoins Captain America in helping break out the rest of the team. From here, her, Captain America, and Falcon would be the secret Avengers, and they would do their own personal secret missions until they would eventually return and unite for Avengers Infinity War. Now, we actually know everything that happens to Natasha. Unfortunately, she would go on to sacrifice herself and die in Avengers Endgame. So the new questions are, what happened to Yelena Belova, what happened to the Widows, and what happened to the Red Guardian and Melina? We'll get to what Yelena is up to when we talk about the post-credit scene. As far as the rest of the Widows, we can assume that some of them probably did what Yelena and Black Widow did. Some would probably go on and live relatively normal lives and simply enjoy their freedom. Others might go on and try to correct the wrongs of their past. And some, just like Yelena, could even be recruited for some government agencies. One thing is certain, and that is that we have not seen the last of them. And as far as Taskmaster is concerned, I'm assuming that she might be right beside Yelena working for Val as well, which we're about to get into. But as far as Alexei Shostakov, aka the Red Guardian, and Melina are concerned, they most likely ran away together. Melina seemed to be off of the grid and away from the Red Room at the time. And now that the Red Room is gone, there's no reason that she couldn't go back to what she was doing before. Although this time, she really wouldn't have to worry about anyone coming after her. And of course, since her and Alexei had a relationship before, it's safe to assume that they're probably going to continue that. So the two of them are probably at Melina's home leading a relatively normal life now. That is, until the MCU at some point needs the Red Guardian or Melina. Now the post-credit scene is actually really exciting. For starters, we finally get a proper tribute to Natasha. We finally see her gravestone. Now this isn't exactly a funeral like a lot of people wanted at the end of Avengers Endgame, but this is our chance to mourn, to pay our respects to Natasha in a proper way. Her sister Yelena visits her with her dog, sheds some tears for her, and clears off her grave. However, she is not alone. She is quickly joined by Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Now, Valentina, or Val, was originally introduced in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. However, she was supposed to be introduced in Black Widow first, but due to COVID-19 and some shifting in the release schedules, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier premiered before Black Widow. In The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, she recruited the former Captain America, John Walker, as the new US agent, something that happened in the comics as well. John Walker became US agent. And now, as we see in the Black Widow post-credit scene, Yelena has already been recruited and actually works for Val. It's clear that Val works for some type of US government. Now, it may be a little shady and it may be sanctioned by Thunderbolt Ross in a not so legitimate way, but one thing is clear: Valentina is forming a team made out of highly skilled individuals. Right now she has Yelena Belova, who of course is a super assassin, US agent John Walker, who now is a super soldier, and since Yelena was with Taskmaster at the end of Black Widow, Taskmaster / Antonia Dreykov could very well be working for Val as well, especially if they don't really give them a chance. Yelena and Antonia are both products of the Red Room. They've done many illegal things and probably have committed war crimes throughout their time in the Red Room. If the government got a hold of them, this could be their plea bargain. Do some work on a team and then earn your freedom. This most likely is the start of the formation of the Thunderbolts team or the Dark Avengers. It's unclear right now on which direction they're going to take this new team in the MCU, but it's very clear that this new team is going to consist of members who aren't exactly like Captain America. They're a little bit more rough and willing to do just a little bit more than the old Avengers team would do to get the job done. In the comics, the Thunderbolts actually consist of former villains trying to earn their freedom. Baron Zemo, who we saw in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is a member. The Winter Soldier in the comics is a member. Hawkeye is actually a member at one point in time too. Deadpool as well, but in the MCU, it's looking like the first two members are US Agent John Walker and Yelena Belova, and only the future of the MCU will tell us who the rest of this team is. Now, the post-credit scene ends with something very shady happening. Val lies to Yelena and tells her that Hawkeye killed Natasha. Val shows Yelena her next target, and it's a picture of Hawkeye. Val explains that this is Yelena's chance to go after the man who killed her sister. Now, obviously, we know that's a lie. However, Yelena does not. And what this does is set up a showdown between Yelena and Hawkeye in the upcoming Hawkeye series on Disney+. Now, another important thing to note is that Valentina in the comics is actually known as Madam Hydra. She's a double agent that actually betrays S.H.I.E.L.D. And this is very shady behavior that we're seeing in this post-credit scene. Her story is probably going to be different in the MCU. It does seem like she is working for the US government, but it seems like she pretty much has the authority to kind of do whatever she wants. She's already pretty shady as it is, putting together a very shady team. So this is probably who her character is going to be, a character that's not exactly good, but not exactly bad. But one thing is for sure, it's definitely going to be exciting to see this team when they finally make their MCU debut. In the meantime, let me know what you thought about the Black Widow movie in the comments down below. What was your favorite part? Again, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the videos. Don't forget to like the video, and for live updates, you can always follow me on Instagram and Twitter. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.